Yeah, the partition into past, present, and future is very significant to our life. It defines the way we think, the scheme we have developed towards life. Each one of these times demands different skills. The past demands memory. The present demands the ability to sense and grasp. The future demands more complicated skills like planning, deferring gratification, which is something that develops later on in our development, and it's something which is very relevant for our day-to-day life because the way we relate to this partition, it influences our entire life. Meaning, if I'm engaged, constantly engaged in my past, how could I have done things differently? And I drag it into the present, maybe it prevents me from living my life to the full. If I'm afraid of the future, what's going to happen, how are things going to be, it's the same. And we know that many times it's hard for us to seize the moment, live the present. So we'd like to understand how to correctly behave with respect to these three times, and especially how to use our time in the best possible way. And maybe more clearly put, do we have to learn how to seize the moment, live here and now? Were we able to only feel the moment, the current moment, without the past and the future, then we would have gone into a state which is either above time or we die, one of the two. Die why? Die because the dead are free of the sense of time. Very simple. Someone who's dead that doesn't feel any changes in time, that's called dead, is free of time. But if a person is in such a state, then he's already like, we don't know what, because animals, they also feel past, present, and future, and also plants, and also the still to some extent, in accordance with what goes over it. It has some kind of a memory and senses of its own, even though it's on the still level. We're not really acquainted with it, but it also has nonetheless a feeling of external influence over it, according to which probably it also counts past, present, and future as a result of its resistance towards external changes. Therefore, to just feel one of the three times means to exit the feeling of life, to come out of it. But what's interesting is something else. To rise above the feeling of past, present, and future, and to control them. Meaning not only to control them, but to control the processes which we're experiencing. Meaning, how can I manage the past, present, and future as the sum total of influences which I experience from some external source? And then if I unite with that source, I study it, I connect with it, then this way I'm in control of these three times, and I become boss over my time, boss over life. I can move from the past to the present to the future and back to the present and the past. I can be altogether above them, independent of them, that I change them instead of them changing me. It all depends on how do I overcome my will to receive, which is the sense by which I feel changes in time. And if I rise above the will to enjoy, the will to receive is the will to enjoy, and I become completely free of it, then I no longer sense past, present, and future as my life. And now we're coming to the following question. What do I identify myself with then? Here we're coming to a state where I have to know the entire axis of the development of my desire. the way it was created, the way it changes, and what's the form it has to come to. And in order to know that, I have to rise to a completely different level called the plan of creation. Because from everything we see, from everything we research, we see that everything has past, present, and future, meaning that everything has a cause and consequence. And then I always have to go to the cause, because its result, then I can easily research it and see it, and I don't even have to see it. I know that this is how it's going to come out. If I exactly know the reason for everything, then in the reason, the future form of anything that comes from it already exists in the cause.